And let me tell you about Nanette. Be looking from paperwork from Legal Shield from me. Yeah, that sick guilt shit of always Bible beating demons and all. Forcing me to give massages on Sundays. Throwing me in the same goddamn pool to baptize me that Bobby Gollenstein's dick was in. Oh well. My apologies for actually telling the goddamn truth. Wham! Severe tick. Thanks for the physical exacerbation yet again. They do not care about medical, even though it's a federal violation, because guess what? All that, those suits, those fines, those penalties get passed right on down to the taxpayer. And they get to take things like makeup and hair care off on their taxes. So why in the fuck would they care? Oh well. So when I burst my temporal arteries, and then the dumbasses cried about being the victims of a suicidal patient being family members, yeah, they have a lot of room to fucking cry, don't they? Pushing me down flights of stairs, poisoning me with bleach and diesel fuel, molesting and raping me, pimping me out for more drugs and alcohol. Yeah, they have a lot of room. So if Deputy Hull wants to do any more complaining, let me describe Ryan's nuts and Devin's dick in Treasure Trail. Kim Razor did not want the disgusting story about her goddamn family getting out. Well, that's too goddamn bad. It is heinous that somebody that was raped by those goddamn people was then killed by her within less than a week. All because of her signature. So let me tell you about Bob Tribby and the goddamn drug sales with Mason County school system. Not to mention getting raped there. Oh well. I wanted to sell when my father died. My family had to have their goddamn way just like they always do. Trying to medicate with people claiming to stand up that I'm due for something. There's no one here that I can see, even though I can smell an African American. It doesn't bother me, I'm not racist. But if I can smell you, you're too goddamn close. They used to ask me how I could identify my perpetrator. Well, skin smells differently, depending on color. Hair color denotes body odor. The sound of their cheap fucking shoes. I had to learn how to identify the people raping me. Oh well. So huge thank you to the state troopers who were involved in it, pretending to help. Oh well. Huge thank you to all the medical professionals doing nothing but falsifying a big bunch of bullshit to help protect them. Let me tell you how they used to hold my nose just so I'd open my mouth to breathe and then throw drugs in them. Forced drugging with Comprehend because of their, judicial authorization. So as I asked, quietly and calmly, which judge signs that medical form? That's why all of us called it Murder View, not Metaview Regional Medical Center. Murder View. With people like Queen Ecstasy Truesdell and her goddamn family, who had robbed us blind at least once. So, what were the feds doing at Metaview? I wonder. Apologies do nothing for the person they hurt. Apologies help the person apologizing sleep at night. It's a waste of breath. Oh well. So while my mother was smothering me and so wild they had to sit up with loaded shotguns, property destruction that had already been started by a bunch of fucking dumbass law enforcement officials. I'm not going to name names. Not yet, anyway. And her using the same goddamn cops that they had peddled me to against me, go for it. Oh well. Let me tell you about my brother-in-law's penis. It's thicker than mine. A little bit longer. Oh well. So let me tell you about my family. And Jeff Schumacher is his attorney. Let me tell you about Jeff Schumacher's wife's drug peddling fucking department. Oh well. With my alternative lifestyle and filthy hands and drug addiction according to their stupidity. Like I stated, I was either going to take the fall that day in Fayette County for their fucking drugs, or that cop wanted some. I deserve an answer for their rapey homophobia. Other than some bunch of dumbass fucking shit because they didn't understand medical. All the while having to go through the pumpellies for health insurance when that was nothing but a fucking sick joke. So huge thank you to my family for pulling that shit and permanently disabling me. Donna Werline Osborne trying to convince me I had thrown somebody through the windshield. A-Flack trying to convince me that I was the driver with Chelsea. What, on the way back from Florida? I just pulled in the goddamn driveway. The car doesn't look totaled to me, and I'm reading your comments on Facebook. So shall I talk more about the Beelan Caproni ride-out goddamn hand and everything? Oh well. Boo-hoo. Oh well, hooray. So let me tell you about trying to sleep only to have my neck mashed, my chest smashed, to the point of going into excited delirium with my health and excessive force, to the point I burst both my goddamn temporal arteries. All because law enforcement couldn't handle medical and take a goddamn accurate statement about being fucking raped by judicial officers. Thanks a goddamn lot. Oh well, right? Oh well. And this is exactly what they would do with their stupid fucking wrist locks. But they wouldn't arrest me, it would be raping me. So do you understand why I have such a goddamn problem with how you behave? Kim Razor should have followed due process protocol, period. Instead of being so goddamn arrogant. Just like Patrick Boggs. I don't act like I know it all because I don't. But at the same time, when I say cannabis seeds are legal, they're legal. Where did I go to law school? None of their goddamn business. Go to Sam's, go to Kroger. I really don't feel like being out in the public today. Call me antisocial. Call that an aspect of my mental health. Why in the hell would I want to surround myself with people who would more than likely spit in my face? All for not liking homos, not understanding Tourette's, wondering why I'm limping. Me accidentally letting the freezer door shut too hard in the store and saying, damn it, right in front of a bunch of kids, only for their parents to freak out. Involuntary. Damn it. So forgive me for feeling like such a goddamn burden due to what the, intelligent upper crust people instilled in me psychologically. I got over it a long time ago. They started pressing the wrong buttons, hitting reset yet again. If they didn't want to hear the story from the get-go, they should have thought about that first. Plain and simple, due process. But they should have thought about this. Me telling the whole story from the start before hitting reset. Yet again. I was raped and told to shut my fucking mouth. Forgive me for having a little bit of a breakdown. I didn't smother my infant, swing it around like a dead primate. Or, like my sister, push myself down a flight of stairs. You know why they did that, don't you? And if anybody thinks I enjoyed telling my story, they're even sicker than I am. Do you remember when your tonsils exploded? Foxwood Wood Nestle thought that event was hilarious. So, if anybody ever wondered, especially my family, why I always seemed so sexual in nature, that's another goddamn sign of being molested and raped. But none of you ever thought to ask, did you? Tammy and Tina and Tracy. That time in the pool. I told them, I said, I'll play Adam, you all can play Eve. They looked at me like I was crazy. That's another sign. But none of you all ever bothered to ask, did you? I freaked poor little Tiffany out that day. I wasn't alone with her and didn't do anything, but that scared the hell out of her. She ran down to Debbie's and told her mama. And then Nan had a talking to me. You have to be careful around them. They're different than we are. I know they're different. And I'm quite sure everybody's glad they put me in with the good, wholesome ones by now. What in the hell did the Kellys get me into? Nanette, to hear Nanette, she's like, the stories you tell me about Mom and Daddy, I can't, she says sometimes she can't believe them. And I'm like, well, I can't really believe they were so strict with you, sending you to God's Bible school with only $5 a week for lunch money. They were way different with me. Nan felt guilty for that. I used to have to listen to her cry about that. I feel so guilty for only sending her to school with only $5 a week in cash for lunch money. They were totally different with me. And then it doesn't believe me half the time, but how in the hell am I supposed to... Well, T was never around, and they would have paid him to do the yard and stuff. They would have. But, you know, because of how Bill Kelly was about cannabis, and that was his own shit, and T never realized that. Bill Kelly's son committed suicide after his wife left him. And Bill Kelly's first wife was a drug addict alcoholic who died as well. And so that, you know, affected Bill, obviously. And he turned to religion as his coping mechanism. What a lot of people don't know about Mr. Kelly is he used to like pool and a beer or two. Back in his youth, then again, he was 900, older than Donald. And after, you know, his son and his first wife, religion changed his life in some ways to the detriment, in my opinion. Nan and Frank apparently were kind of more wild. Frank Bennett, you know, Jerry Lundergan owed him money before he skipped town, according to Nan. And then T's father, well, murder-suicide, if I remember correctly. But anyway, Bill, the religion thing, it was annoying at times, especially no television for the news. Listen to WLW. Or Phil Day on Sunday on WAGX. But T never understood that. No offense, but he never understood that part of it. And him and Nanette. I have a reason to not like my sister. Plenty of them. Plenty of reasons not to like my sister. You make T out to be a worse person than he really is. She's not here, but that's what I'd say. And I do. She and I had a conversation about it. You make T out to be a worse person than he is. Not that he's a saint or the best person in the world and whatever, but... And then to hear her say, I don't believe some of the stories you talk about Mom and, well, Nan. She called her Nan. Nan and Daddy. They were different with me. Bill wasn't a lot different. But Nan treated me like Betty, a replacement for Betty. Somebody to have fun with and cut loose with, and, they'll take my secrets to the grave. Well, she's already gone, isn't she? Nan treated me like Betty. Which is why I spoke about Nan and Betty in Miss McBrayer's office, if she even remembers that part of it or recorded it. But, what in the fuck would I know? I didn't go to college to get some piece of paper to put in a fucking picture frame, all for another piece of pretty jewelry. I don't mean to be disrespectful or offensive. I've had bad interactions with law enforcement simply because they don't want to take the time to understand medical other than what people who don't have access to the whole medical file have to say. Only for that to fuck patients up even more, so then when they do get out, they have to go through a whole new level of hell and a relapse. Did I mention that those skull fractures aren't documented anywhere in my medical record to my knowledge? Now, forgive me if I'm wrong, but that's fraud. And I don't mean to just pick on Kim Razor. I don't mean to be a bully about it, but this is ridiculous. Due process, as I understand it, she would have found out some information pertaining to why I was having a mental health crisis, other than just believing what someone said. There are plenty of men who take photos holding guns. Hell, Aflac in his public post, after I was talking about shield laws in the press, holding his handgun saying, "I got your shield laws right here, bitch." Oh, well, D-holes, buddy. Can't do anything about that. So huge thank you. Oh, and not to mention the Crawfords. Their house smells wonderful. And they possess firearms? Fuck you, Kim Razor. No offense, no disrespect. You could have a cop in a heartbeat. But fuck you. As I said, culture and religion, it denotes gravity. Who wants to see the Don Gentry photo shoot again? One of them said, "I know what you're trying to do, and I think it's sickening." I'm not trying to do anything other than point out the facts of the fucking situation at hand. It affects more than just me. To hell with the bigwig people. I'm just a poor old peasant, and I'm not the only one affected by their actions. Well, let's see. They withheld an anticonvulsant and a rescue inhaler from me. In the Woodward and McLean cases, there is no administrative protocol. Maybe it's different now that Lisa Urey is there. But like I stated, it used to be the year 1. Now it's the year Y. She picked a good place to retire, didn't she? Going out with a bang. Look at the new stuff I've created for this to boot. And like I said, she should be applauded for that. Instead of just sitting there, letting the fucking inmates do drugs and sexually assault one another, like they were under Gerald Curtis, her chief deputy. I think that's sick. I was in there that time, remember? She picked a hell of a place to retire. Man. Pretty much easy peasy. Just like with that woman deputy. Sorry, I don't recall your name. I think they said your name was Deputy Price, but I could be wrong. The blonde woman. The one who scared the cattle and apologized for it. I forgot where I was going with it. Pretty sure that was a night terror about her, too. Because I had just talked about her scaring the cattle. You have no goddamn idea. They're not hallucinations or delusions. They're night terrors. But look at the trauma I've been through. I got over it the best I could with the physical limitations. Those get in the way a hell of a lot more than psych. I don't really get depressed about it anymore. I get upset about it. That's what this helps with, and Valium if needed. That's why it's appropriate. Sure, you've never abused your medication. Well, there have been some coercion situations and theft situations, not to mention after they made it quite clear that they did not want to understand my health here and how it has deteriorated. Nanette probably can't fucking understand anything, because I've never been like this. Then again, I was raped for the last goddamn time. Mercy Claremont with gang members. One of the women, didn't you see his tattoo? I don't pay attention to that shit. He's small enough, I could probably try to wrestle him down away from me. The blonde one, the quiet one, he's a concern. The big dude that I keep talking to, he'd take a blowjob in a heartbeat. That blonde guy I played checkers with, the quiet one, the one who seemed the most sane out of all of them, he'd be dangerous in that kind of situation. But he could be diffused with sex, possibly. My favorite, if anything came up with him, because he seemed like the real vocal, man, my girl was cheating on me. Diffuse those kind of people with sex in a heartbeat. Now, granted, that might not be ethical, but I don't have a badge, do I? I told Mr. Boggs and those women in the department I did not want this goddamn auditing position. Someone had to do it. I do apologize for my behavior here. Whereas you people, there's no one in the room, but whereas you people see it as pure psychiatric criminal intention, it isn't. Unfortunately. Then the pills would work. That's the saddest part about it. If it truly was all psychiatric like they claim, then their pills should work accordingly. And then I would feel better. But no. Stop and cry about it or move on. Who in the hell is that? Talking caller ID, and I missed both announcements. Something about a prescription. I was going to wait until I see the doctor on the 1st, but I think I might run out of albuterol before then, so I'm like, ugh, before I went to bed last night. Man, I might as well just call all the refills in. Diazide. Triamterene hydrochlorothiazide. It's a sodium-sparing diuretic. Terbinafine. The nail fungus infection. Like I said, after that last time I was raped by one of Mason County, Maysville EMS people, they must have had some yeast infection from a woman. This nail turned black. This nail turned white. This one came completely off. It was sick. The Lamisil works wonders on fingernails because you move your hands a lot more than you do your feet. My feet have looked like hooves for a long, long time, though. Albuterol, Symbicort. I went ahead and called in the Valium, even though there's still at least half the bottle there. Oh, the nasal sprays. Instead of taking Allegra or Zyrtec or Benadryl, I switched to whatever the fluticasone is, whatever that brand name is. It's allergy medicine. And then the ipratropium is the I'm drowning in my own tear snot drying agent. Because believe it or not, I walk around crying pretty much all the time now. It's just not that visible. You got yourself in a lot of trouble. Should we put you in with the other fowl? The feathered fowl? You got your... You people don't have a goddamn clue. Just like I said, I've only told about 40% of the story so far. The only views that have a lot of them are that St. Clair nude one. This story will be heard and reported. This story will be heard and reported. I didn't mean to imply that Clinton Adams had raped anyone, especially a psych patient. I'm simply pointing out the whole story from Mason County to facility for the people who refuse to believe what they want you to believe. That's not me being a conspiracy theorist, especially with perfect prime examples of the school district and administration of Dayton Power and Light convincing us that it's only water vapor, children. And I'm quite sure older people probably still believe that, some of them. No, folks. Our farm supplies all that shit. Yeah, Carmoose, mining underneath our farm for limestone. They're the only ones that make it in that form for DP&L. All that white stuff coming up out of there, limestone rock. It's called silicate mineral dust. It can lead to silicosis, and unless you go to a really good specialist and mention it, it's just COPD. Very bad for autoimmune illness, let me tell you. Oh, but no, kids. It's only water vapor. A-Flack with that post. I got your shield laws right here, bitch. Ugh. I told you he loved me and that he'd hurt me. I'd probably let him and like it. To Kenton Pumpelly, get up, bitch. Drive me home. I'm drunk. I planned on staying here. Just FYI. But I can get you there. I can get you there one way or another. But I'm not staying at Pumpelly Plantation, neither. After I realized where I was in the bathroom, needing to take a piss like a racehorse. Of course I can find my way out of here. Of course, I know the layout a little. Whether you remember or not. Ugly-ass white cabinets and good counters. Well, that's the end of that one. I'm beginning to become exhausted.